Mike's Daily Podcast.
Episode 1650, 1650. We're halfway there, halfway to 1700 in the 1600 series. You know what I'm trying to say, I think. Cafe Anyway is where I am here in Podcastro Valley, Monta, last place on earth. Today we hear from Benita, the Disgruntled Fiddle Player, and the Brewmaster, which reminds me, I got the best text the other day.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
That I have to read from my friend Kevin. It was classic. He used to do a segment called Addendum.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
With Kevin. And I have to tell you about something that involves my work, where people sometimes come in and act like a jerk, but that's okay, because that's work, and I'm not going to say where I work, because I work at a lot of places, and you'll just have to figure it out. And I won't show you the faces, because this is like a radio show. This is a podcast, and it's all audio, and there's no video.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
To show you the video of this, of me doing what I'm doing right now, would be the height
Mike's
of vanity.
Daily
The idiots
Podcast.
that video when they're doing their podcast, or video when they're doing their radio show, are just the biggest D-bags on the planet that seem to think, oh, I'll show video of me talking into a microphone. Now I'm just making a hand gesture, waving my hands in the air like, WTF? What are you thinking? That is boring. The Dan Patrick Show that's just a sports channel with nothing else to show. Because sports fans got to have something. Talk about baseball and football and basketball. We'll show a bunch of guys walking around a really messy studio. Oh, there's all kinds of crap and bobbleheads everywhere. Woo! It will be goofy. Oh, God, that's the worst idea ever. And it's on. If you go into any place that serves beer, let's say at 11 o'clock, I guess that's when the show is, or noon, or I don't know, they replay it over and over again. Utterly stupid programming ideas is what that is. That's a programming mistake. I cannot figure this out. I do not understand. And I don't care, because I'm usually drinking a beer at this point and eating fattening foods, which I did yesterday with my lovely lady friend. We went and
here's today's podcast picture.
I don't care. I'll give them a free plug, because it's Castro Valley Boulevard Burger. It's been there a couple years. Someone was shot in front of it, actually. A person was with a gun or something, was wielding a gun, and they shot him and he died. And so they used to call it Murder Burger. So this is probably not a plug for Boulevard Burger, but that was a couple years ago. And yeah, it's a little piece of spicy piece of meatball history from Castro Valley. But no, Boulevard Burger, I have eaten there this is the third time. And my lovely lady friend and I had some garlic fries. And you know what? Basically, you're really showing your love for each other when you eat garlic fries. Because it's basically saying, I'm going to have stinky breath, and you're going to have stinky breath. Together, we're going to have breath like a dragon, and we're going to kiss each other, and life will be good. So, that's what we did, and had some beers. Oh, delicious beers. I had something from Drake's. Sorry, Kevin. 21st Amendment's the best beer. But I had some Drake's beer. And she had some kind of Young's. Young's makes a coffee stout. And you know what? A woman that can drink a coffee stout, that to me, is the sexiest thing ever. So many women. And I know I'm painting this with a broad brush, talking about broads. And it's,
Are you out of your mind?
Apologies all around. Apologies. Because women, I'm saying that there's a tide. Because when I had a long dry spell, as you know, from listening to this podcast for however many years I've been doing it. 8 years now? 9? Something like that. that I have had a large dry spell, and that there was a long time I wasn't dating any women. I was all alone. And there was the wind blew through my life. Tumbleweed rolled by. Because I was all alone. And that's fine. By the way, this is a Friday show, so it's gonna get a little off the tracks, as it were. The train, I hear the train a-coming, and it's gone right off the tracks. Because this show is me. And so you might as well relax and you'll hear some funky things about Mike's life. I've been trying to get to Folsom because I lost my knife. Is that how the song goes? My point is that this lovely, lovely lady friend that I've been dating drinks beer! Did I hit that hard enough, that object here at Cafe Anyway? Oh, I haven't said hi to the characters yet. Well, I will. We'll get to that. We got stuff to talk about. And I'm still trying to find my beer sound effect, and I can't. And I don't know why I can never find the beer sound effect. It's like my eyes don't work or something. But I'll get to that beer sound effect, and you will love it because it has beer in it. But speaking of which, somebody's been standing here patiently the whole time as I've been talking about beer and whatnot.
Hi, Mike. Oh, nuts.
That's not it.
Hi, Mike. I make the delicious root beer. Have some. Oh, boy, I'm the Brewmaster.
Thank you, Brewmaster. We need a little root beer in our lives. Give a little bit of your root beer to me.
I just did.
Thank you. Yes, and so she drinks a stout, a coffee stout beer. Before the women I dated, I don't like beer. I'll just drink some wine. I want to drink some wine. Drink some wine. And they don't drink beer. So I guess I'm just amazed by that for some reason. I drink wine. Wine's good. This guy sounds like he had a little bit of wine.
The United States.
And that's okay. That's all right. I don't mind that. I do. Thank you.
Beer.
Oh, gosh, it took forever. So the thing is that people are criticizing Trump about the whole summit. And I have said in the past, look, this is a communication. I'm all about leaders communicating with other leaders, even though we may go, that guy isn't the worst. They've got to at least talk to them. And you might say, well, he shouldn't negotiate with terrorist, communist dictator. And Kim Jong-un treats his people like crap. And he's an awful man. And yet we need to talk to that person. That's all I'm saying. We need to talk. Now, should there have been a huge ceremony with beautiful flags and shaking of hands and Trump afterwards going, this guy is the greatest guy ever? I don't know. I think this is all, it reminds me of the Iran deal, as I talked about before, where after we did that, I mean, Obama... Can you say Obama did the whole running around the track with his hands up in the air, look at me, look at me, look at me, like Trump did? No. But that's not, that's Trump, and Trump is Trump, and he's very, how would I describe Trump? Let's see.
He's a showboat, he's a grandstander.
Could be like that, but the thing is, I'm all about at least communicate. Now, what's in the deal? Yeah, it's crap. We don't have anything. It's just basically, okay, he's going to denuclearize and he can't go backwards or something. It just seems very, But that's what the Republicans were saying. And you know what, Republicans, you deserve this. Because this is what you did with the Iran deal. When Obama finished that, you're all, he shouldn't have even done it.
I will welcome ideas from anybody.
So,
Washington's made things worse.
could be that.
I appreciate that.
So, FUP. That's all I have to say. FUP. I'll get to why I say FUP in a moment. But look who just walked in with their horse. A horse walked into a bar. Actually, a horse walked into Cafe Anyway, where we are in Podcastro Valley, the last place on earth.
Anyway.
Cafe Anyway.
Anyway.
God, I say that a lot.
Oh, my.
There must be something wrong with me.
Something must be wrong with you.
Hi, Mom. It's Benita, the rodeo queen. How you doing?
It's a disgruntled fiddle player, tell you what.
What?
Donald Trump, Donald H.P. Juniper Trump is the best ever. He is the smartest president we have ever had.
Okay. I don't think that's his middle name.
Donald K-L-O-P, you love me, I love you, simultaneously Trump did what no other president could do.
But all my life, I've heard that decisions are much different when you sit behind the desk in the Oval Office. In other words, when you're president of the United States.
What are you, nuts?
The desk. I love that. So, here we are on Friday, Disgruntled Fiddle Player.
Yeah, it looks like a Friday.
Feels like a Friday.
Smells like a Friday.
I don't know how Fridays smell.
A little bit smell of desperation in there.
Because we're desperate to finish the week off and get to the weekend. That's true. And have some fun. The groove is in the heart. And I'm going to Monterey with my lovely DT lady friend who drinks stout beers, and I think that's sexy. And the point is that we were at Boulevard Burger, and a girl walks up to us and sees the wonderful dog that I have, Basil the Boxer, who then proceeded to do a little bit of he sang a little song. It sounded a little like this. And she saw I was wearing a shirt that had Google on it, because back when I was married, my ex-wife's friend worked at Google, and then she said one day, she goes, I don't like the Bay Area. There's like too many chairs, and it's cold. I don't like it.
Right? God.
So she moved and quit the job at Google, and everybody around was horrified. Like, you just quit a job with Google.
Really?
So she, Cafe Anyway, gave me a Google shirt, so that was very nice of her. Thank you very much. Anyway. Cafe Anyway. Thank you for the shirt. Thank you. So the thing is that we're sitting there enjoying our beers and some stinky garlic fries. And this girl who might have had autism, but apparently worked for Google, because she saw the Google shirt and she's telling us all about somebody, what was her last name? Fong? Somebody she knew that she drove with. Oh, that she said somebody that works at Google, like the head of advertising, apparently is a staunch Ron Paul supporter. And I said, wow, Ron Paul. I haven't heard that name in a while. When I lived in Alabama 10 years ago, that's all you heard. That's all you saw was signs for Ron Paul. And he ran to... There was a time when the Republican Party, just 10 years ago, it was 3 people running to get onto the ballot, onto the Republican ballot. And then, like, nobody wanted to go up against Obama. I don't know exactly what happened there, but yeah, that was... I think it was Ron Paul... the guy who ended up on the ticket, John McCain, and it was somebody else. My memory is not serving me correct. So Paul got pretty far and then dropped out, but there were still a lot of staunch supporters. So somebody in Google in charge of advertising apparently is a big Ron Paul fan. Whatever, Cafe whatever, that's not the place we were at.
Anyway.
And she had her brother... might have had like Down syndrome, but he was the girl that was talking to us, not the person in Google. Anyway, so they hung out with us basically for a while, this brother and sister, while we were enjoying our beer at the Boulevard Burger. And that's what my Friday was. all that to say that I woke up this morning feeling as if I had eaten a bag of salt. Because that's basically what they do with the fries. And that's basically what happens with whenever you eat out. They put too much salt on everything. That's why I don't eat out much. All that to say, what's FUP? What is FUP is I work in the business of radio. And there is, at a point, there's a joke we make in radio where we go, oh, that's good radio. Sarcastically, we say that. And that is to say that something is going on the air at that moment that should not be on the air. That sounds horrible. And that could be someone has a guest and the phone call is staticky. Now, the phone call, the person on the other end may not know that their line is staticky and they sound terrible, and there's no listener that would possibly ever listen to that because it's just all. Or it could be a situation where, as I was trying to record a show that was going to get played back on the weekend, the host had on someone on the call, a caller call in, and this caller could not have been more disrespectful to the host not in the way they talk, but just in their whole manner. In other words, the phone, they were like walking around with the phone, so the call would drop in and out, and then they would not put their face right next to the phone, so it sounds sometimes like they were all the way over here, just so disrespectful. But the host didn't say anything for the longest time, and we're recording this. And at some point, hello, this is sounding terrible. And then the host finally realized that it was a FUP. And you can figure out how I put that word together. It was a total FUP. So, needless to say, that guest did not make it onto the final show. But God, what is it where people have no clue? You're calling into a radio station. By the way, this host was giving this person basically free airtime. And this guest on the phone was disrespectful, and I just, drives me nuts. And I don't think I'm going to take it anymore, basically, from this point forward.
I'm not going to take this anymore!
And I will put my foot down and turn everything off and walk out the door. If this ever happens again, I will just walk out and slam the door. But I came back. Actually, I never left. I slammed a door and I'm still here. So, ta-da! For some reason, Chris Hardwick is trending, and I'm not a Chris Hardwick fan. I feel that he's just a showboat and a grandstander.
He's a showboat. He's a grandstander.
Chris Hardwick, you may like him, you may love him, you may thank him for his Nerdist podcast. Okay, great. But I just, I don't get it. The show. I'm not a nerd. I guess basically I don't get. I think it's all hype. Is what Chris buys into hype. He buys into the hype surrounding shows, and he just delivered he's basically promoting vapid, empty. There's nothing there, and I just don't like him. I think he's a pretty boy. He's basically his show, the At Midnight show, is just a bunch of comedy writers that write for him, and he just reads off the teleprompter, and he does a kind of Chris Hardwick thing. So you might like him, you might love him, you might think he's the cutest thing, that he's a gem, that wherever he walks, the ground is made of chocolate, and you might go like, I think he's a talentless hack. Anyway, that's my whole point is, where are we? Where did we go? We have a little bit more time, and then we'll wrap up the show. Hey, my boss asked me to check a text he wrote. Could you look over it? But all I've learned here is that a lot of people are named Petra in Germany. I got a text from someone in Germany. Okay, I just had to decipher that real quick. That was my little bad radio moment. Okay, there's an El Nino expected later this year. The phenomenon, which warms the ocean in the tropical Pacific and impacts weather, has a 65% chance of forming by winter. Yikes. What does that mean? It means crazy weather, and it means just watch out. Stormy winter along the west coast. We'll probably get a lot of rain. That means I really need to clean out my gutters. Tends to increase hurricane activity in the Pacific Ocean. All right. So I think I told you on the last show how I was asked by my part-time job to do a commercial for Barry Manilow. Well, this just in. He's been hospitalized with a bronchial infection and cancels his residency kickoff. I can't believe this is happening, he said. He was going to be at the Westgate in Las Vegas. He was kicking it off yesterday with a series of sold-out shows. He had to cancel his opening weekend of performances. He is 74. Somebody I was talking to said, isn't he dead? No, he's alive. 74, but bronchial infection. And the guy's got to sing. That involves basically that area where he's having the bronchial infection. So the hospitalization comes a year after a different set of health woes for him. Last year, he postponed several shows due to sprained vocal cords. Then Bill Cosby fires his entire legal team as sentencing for the guilty verdict looms. With just over 3 months before sentencing for assaulting Andrea Costand in 2004, Cosby has given the boot to his entire legal team. Looking at potentially decades behind bars and amidst chatter that his wife Camille could be seeking a divorce. Finally! Good God, that woman's taken a long time to get to the divorce. What? Why? The currently under house arrest Cosby is set to be sentenced after a 2-day hearing on September 24th and 25th. No word yet from the new lawyer on the Montgomery County DA's office or the Montgomery County DA's office if the new representation will mean those dates are pushed back. Fireball whiskey. So it was National Bourbon Day yesterday on Thursday. A fiery crash involving 2 tractor trailers shut down in central Arkansas, leaving the roadway covered in Fireball cinnamon whiskey. Now, I know a lot of women that love that. Woo! Okay, and finally, Daytona Beach, where I will be maybe as the El Nino is about to kick off, is apparently going to, well, the roller coaster there derailed, injuring riders and leading to emergency rescues. Good Lord. I think I've been on that. Oh my gosh, I've ridden that roller coaster with my mom. Dropping riders 34 feet. Holy mackerel. And I never use that expression. But I just did. As we go outside a cafe anyway, we're bringing Mike's Daily Podcast somewhere in Podcaster Valley. May I read you a text from the guy that sometimes brings us the segment, although he hasn't done it in over a year, called
Addenda with Kevin.
He writes to me, and he listens to the podcast. He usually does like a marathon listen session. He said, I want to do like a James Lipton interview. Do you know James Lipton, the Actors Studio? Today we are speaking with Al Pacino, the greatest American actor of all time. He's so freaking dramatic, probably because he's a frustrated ex-actor. James Lipton, he wants to do, so Kevin wants to do a James Lipton type interview with me sometime. Inside the Podcaster Studio is what he'd call it. He says, I'll sit there across the table from you and say, so Michael, tell us about Benita, the disgruntled fiddle player. Who is she based on in your life, and what is her pathos? Then you'll be across the table with some John Lennon round sunglasses. And some ridiculous Johnny Depp. And you'll say in a way, Benita is all of us inside, or some kind of esoteric bull bleep. Like that. Bull. I just thought that was hilarious. Well, you know, Kevin, all we need is love. And that's as close as I get to a Beatles accent impression. Hey, do your own Beatles impression right now, and let's wrap up the show. Oh, the podcast picture today, which I did not get to. I just sailed right past that, hoping you wouldn't notice. But I know you noticed. So let's get yesterday's podcast picture. I did of me with Basil the Boxer, and all I can say is I don't know if you wanted to see a picture of me and Basil the Boxer, but there it is. Maybe we'll do this one of Basil walking past some cows. This was from the other day. Let's do that at Fairmont Ridge. Let's do that. It's a kind of a cute picture. He's sort of ambling by, hoping that the cows don't notice. Because, and if you've waited all the way to the end of this podcast to hear me describe this picture, let me just say, Basil learned his lesson once, fairly recently, where he started playing with a cow, and a cow came after him, and Basil fell over backwards, was on his back, and the cow went over and sniffed his privates, and then walked away, like as if the cow was a big dog, which explains why cowboys say, "Get along, little doggy." And so Basil is very careful now, and so this is an interesting picture. I really like the form Basil has. It's very, if you were an artiste, lots of diagonals and straight lines. I think you would enjoy it. So check it out at MIKEs-DAILY-PODCAST.com if you are an artiste or not. And you can see that picture now. And as well as help out the show through the Amazon link that we have. If you're going to buy anything on Amazon, perhaps you're going to buy a new router, as I am, since I'm going to drop the stupid $12 a month rental charge for a Comcast router and go with something that I own so that I don't have to keep throwing money away to Comcast, who, what's going on with that merger now? Are they buying Fox? I don't know what's happening. What's going on? So that is happening, but I am figured that out, that I'll pay for the router, and because Comcast they called my bluff yesterday. Somebody told me, hey, just call up Comcast and say cancel everything, and they'll give you a better deal. Nope, that didn't happen. They said, so when will be your cancellation date? And I said, oh, you really are going to cancel me? Wow. Okay. So I found something. Actually, it's going to be costing a lot less. So that's good. The end product. Of course, I'm not going to get as many. My download speed's going to be crap, but whatever. Cafe whatever, that's the end of the show. Next show is going to be the wonderful... Cafe Anyway. The wonderful Benita... No, wait, that was this show. Next show will be Madame Rootabega, Valentino, and Bison Bentley. Enjoy your weekend. No Super Secret Sunday show, but hopefully a Monday show. I hope you hope as well along with me. All we need is hope.
Mike's Daily Podcast is written and produced and performed by Mike Matthews. His podcast is super easy to find. Download or listen to his show and read his blog at MIKEs-DAILY-PODCAST.com.
Email Mike now at MIKEs-DAILY-PODCAST@gmail.com.
See you tomorrow. Bye!